Have you ever seen a wild pear as a bonsai? No? Now you have. I don't know why, but these are rarely seen as bonsai. And I find that very, very sad. Pears are a really nice plant. As you can see, these wild pears, they get quite small leaves, and in spring they can produce mountains of flowers. Granted, this one hasn't flowered yet for me, but that is also because I am training it, I'm pruning it lots, but this year I've let it grow some big canes. And the reason is, according to my propagation Bible, these can be grown from cutting. The best moment to do that is right now, early spring, as the shoots start to mature and they're not completely wooden yet. Use a good rooting hormone and protect them against drying out. So that's what I'm going to try. Now, why do I like pears for bonsai? Well, first of all, they create very nice rough bark. Next to that, of course, they create flowers. They grow nice compact foliage. However, one word of warning, if you are planning on growing a pear for bonsai, this is also one of the main hosts for the pear juniper rust. So if you have a plant like this and you see red dots appearing on the leaves, red, orange, then be careful, because that is a fungal infection. At that time, you take the leaf off and you throw it away in your bin. Don't put it in a compost, because you don't want to spread the disease any further. This is actually a healthy leaf because the tree is healthy. Right, let's go ahead. I am going to use my rooting hormone. Well-known black bottle. You can find it on big online propagation stores or warehouses. I'm just going to use a little drip of it. I'm going to cut a few of these canes, and I'm going to cut them in 10 centimeters, 4-inch pieces, just right at the node. I'm going to remove all the leaves except for the top 2 or 3, and then I'm going to plant it in a container that I've already prepared, filled halfway with my normal substrate and halfway with vermiculite. This for me is one of the main substrates that I use for rooting cuttings, and it works really well for me. Doesn't mean that something else doesn't, but this works for me. Then I'm going to plant them in a plastic baggie and just let them sit for a couple of weeks, 2 months. Now, for successful propagation, it's important to be prepared. So I already have prepared the pot with vermiculite, and as you can see, it is soaked in water already. Then I can poke a few holes for my cuttings to go in a few minutes. And they need to be quite large, because these stems are quite thick. Then I'm going to add some of the rooting hormone to the lid that's laying here next to me. And the reason is, if you put your cuttings directly in the rooting hormone, this liquid spaced, you run the risk of ruining your rooting hormone. Don't want to do this. This is a new pot, so I'm just going to add a little bit here on the lid, and just a little drop will do. As said, it's a new pot, right? So I'm pruning these long canes that grew over the last season, and I'm just leaving the 4 or so first buds that are here, and I'm just clipping it right above. This way there's nice compact growth from this year as well, and I do the same here. This is a little bit thinner, both should work. And for good measure, I find it's always best to work fairly quickly when doing this sort of work. So I clip and then dip straight away in the hormone, so the wound doesn't have a chance to dry out. Remove any of the side leaves that are lower down. And then I'm just going to keep this. This of course allows for the rest of the branch that I have here to also be a cutting. Dip, remove the leaves. And actually this is quite herbaceous, so the tip is just going to go. And I'll do the same thing for this big one here. Clip, dip, trim, trim, and a cutting. I've given the hormone a little bit of time to work on the cutting, and now I can just gently place them in the holes that I've created. And then it really is just a matter of watering it once more and putting it in a baggie. and then putting it in a sheltered spot out of full sun, maybe in half an hour or an hour in the early morning, nothing else, because cuttings cook very easily. And then make sure that once I see new growth, I start opening it up. Well, this spring and not a single flower appeared. Such a shame. I would have loved to have seen this pear grow some pears, get some flowers. It is old enough, but yeah, apparently it's not doing well enough. It is sitting in the full sun though. Anyway, I'm not going to let these runners on top run. I was hoping that it was a fat bud, that this would actually be a flower bud. I don't want this top to grow any heavier than it already is. So I'm just going to prune back on the long runners. The ones that don't run, I'm not going to prune. And then let's see how it responds over the rest of the year. I'm not going to bore you waiting for the rest of the year. I'm just going to put this back in the sun. And with that, this was Jelle, growing bonsai. And just the basics of having a little pear as bonsai.